In elementary school and carrying on to high school as well, I was always very shy and anxious as a child. I didn't think that that had anything to do with mental health at the time. I just thought that that was kind of how I was, but I had difficulty making friends even from a very young age. I had different friends a lot, and none of my friends felt very close to me, and I was always kind of worrying about my interactions with other people. I guess that kind of got more pronounced as I got older. Hi, I'm Chelsea, and I'm a fourth-year student at the University of Toronto, and I have struggled with social anxiety and depression. I started being bullied, I wouldn't say really severely, but when I was 15 years old in high school. It eventually got to a point, closer to the end of high school for me, where they completely excluded me from anything they were doing, and I didn't really have a lot of friends at school. They were spreading rumors about me. It kind of felt like everyone knew everything about my life. If I got to see one of my few friends that I still had, that was a great day. The small things that that maybe don't matter so much to other people, all of a sudden meant the world to me. And conversely, on a bad day, if something small happened or went wrong, let's say my friend canceled plans, I would just cry for the rest of the day. I would be devastated. And so I guess to sum it up, everything good was magnified 100 times, but everything bad was also magnified 100 times. I guess I first realized that maybe it wasn't completely normal what I was feeling when I would try to interact with other people, particularly people I was having conflicts with, and I would try to work things out with them, and they would just kind of be why are you upset about this? Why do you care about this? I was just sad all the time. I spent all my time alone. And finally I decided to go see the school counselor just to be hey, these horrible things are happening to me. And so from seeing that counselor, I finally sort of realized that the strong negative emotions that I was feeling and all of the terror and anxiety I felt about going to school and just living my daily life at that time was actually a result of social anxiety and depression. Essentially, the bullying I experienced in high school just perpetuated a cycle of isolation for me because I didn't know how to interact with people normally. Any kind of social situation is 10 times more difficult for me than it is for most people. When you're bullied in high school, people kind of tell you that it's a normal thing. What they don't realize is that bullying can actually carry through with you for the rest of your life. It can happen no matter how old you are. I started becoming suicidal and just not wanting to live anymore because I kind of felt what's the point in living if I'm not gonna get to experience the joys of human life. So when I started having those feelings, that was definitely when I was okay, people shouldn't feel this way. One thing that I found that helps me if I'm having a bad day is just to distract myself in any way that I possibly can. My counselor kind of talked about it as anything you can do to make it to the next day or wake up the next morning. So I have learned some techniques of distracting myself. It might sound bad to some people, but TV has kind of been something like that for me. I can just stare at the TV and zone out for a while, and then next thing I know I've fallen asleep, and then I've gotten some distance from whatever I was thinking about. Yeah, my experience could have been so much more different if, starting from high school, if someone had just stepped into the situation I was in and just said, hey, that's not cool, because I didn't do that for myself. I felt so weak and vulnerable that I didn't want to talk to them. I was just terrified, and I kind of just shrunk into myself and kind of ran away from the situation. And if someone had just been a friend to me at that time, if someone had intervened in some way, that really could have changed so much. I feel kids should be educated more to know that when they see a situation happening like that, they should do what they can to stop it, even if all they do is just say to the person who's being hurt, hey, I'm really sorry, do you want to have lunch with me? That it can be so helpful. But that said, that doesn't always happen, and I want kids to know that it's okay to seek out support from a teacher or a counselor. It's so beneficial just to have someone to talk to, whether that's a friend or someone older than them. There's nothing wrong with that. It does get better. You know, you may experience those feelings of isolation for years to come, but you will find people that you can connect with. Maybe it won't be as many as you would like, but you will find people. Just really push yourself, because things aren't just going to be handed to you, but good things will happen if you try hard enough to make them happen. Getting involved at school, if you're in school, can be really helpful as well. This year I started getting involved with Active Minds at U of D, which is a student club, and it tries to create a sense of community for mental health issues. So I'm now the vice president of it, and we do a lot of cool things like events surrounding mental health issues, where ordinary people get to share their own stories, and people who maybe don't know a lot about the issue can learn about it. And a lot of schools have clubs like this, and if they don't, you can start one. I think anyone who can, that's a great way of getting involved in a social atmosphere and doing something that you actually care about that will hopefully make you happier. You have the power to change your own life.